Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you my reviews on some picture books that I have recently read. This is specifically only picture books because I've read so many that I felt like they should get their own particular video. This is going to be around 14 or 13 picture books, and I'm just going to give you some quick mini reviews. There's some recommendations in here, there's some 5 stars, so stay tuned to hear my thoughts on all of these picture books. So the first one I want to talk about, they're in no particular order by the way, is Happy Holi by Chitra, Soundar and Amberin Hook. So this one is a picture book that is celebrating the moment where you all celebrate Holi in spring, and it is a really lovely picture book. I'm going to show you some of the colours inside. It's bright, it's colourful, it's beautiful. I really like the artwork, which was so lovely, and such a good job. The artist did such a good job. I also want to point out that visually, you can see on the cover here, this girl is using a hearing aid. So you've got disabled visual representation of her using a hearing aid throughout this whole book. However, it's never like pointed out or addressed. It's just there visually. Visual disabled casual representation in picture books is so important. Your child could ask, the child that you're reading with could ask like, why is she wearing that, and you can have a whole discussion, and yet the book doesn't have to be all about it. I'm all for that casual disabled representation in picture books. I also really like this because I personally learned it a lot as someone who doesn't always celebrate Holi, even though I have before at school, and it just shows a bit of the culture, what they do when they celebrate, what they practice, why, and it's really celebratory and lovely and very inclusive. Such a nice picture book to read with your children, to introduce them to new international festivals, whether you celebrate Holi yourself or not. We have Wiggling Words by Rolfe. This was the first time I ever anticipated a picture book because I read Wolf and Bear by the same author before and really enjoyed it. And in Wiggling Words, it's about this young boy who really struggles with reading, but he slowly, over the course of the book, starts to love and fall in love with words themselves and kind of makes his way into enjoying reading. Now, this is by a dyslexic author, and it's about a boy who has dyslexia, so I really like that it's kind of talking about that in a way that feels very approachable to children without using that word itself, and more so see what it feels like and what the boy is experiencing and how he works through it. I like that as a picture book itself. It doesn't have too many words on the page, so if you do have a dyslexic child, it's going to be easier for them to read because it's very minimal words, bigger pictures. There's a red and blue kind of colour palette throughout this particular book. We have The Worry Tiger by Alexandra Page and Stef Murphy. Now, this isn't particularly one of my favourite picture books. I found it just an okay read, but take that with a pinch of salt because I'm an adult reading this who maybe has worked at schools before and has a nephew, but is not a parent or guardian myself to a young child. So even though I have like read books in the classroom and stuff, I'm not going to say I'm the authoritative person on reviewing picture books. I also personally don't love when there are animals in picture books, and this one is called The Worry Tiger. Now, my nephew loves books with animals in them, and he loves animals, so that is to say that children will still be able to enjoy this one. It just wasn't one particularly for me, but I still kind of liked what this picture book was doing because it's about this young person, can't remember if it's a girl or boy, who is struggling with getting very anxious and getting very worried before class show and tell. And of course children do get anxious and worried and shy, and when that happens, their worry tiger appears, and the worry tiger helps them through some things that they can do to help themselves feel less anxious and worried. So you see the tiger saying, take deep breaths, stand up straight, breathe out, 1 2 3, breathe in, 1 2 3. And I think it's just so important to give children these equipment and these tools to help them when they are feeling those times of stress from such a young age. Just imagine how impactful that will be on their growing up process. And so even though I didn't particularly love this picture book myself, I do think it's still a good one to read with children and to give to children. I thought the artwork was nice enough. It was really diverse in terms of like the children that it's depicting, good colors. So yeah, it's a good picture book, even though it's not a personal 10 out of 10 recommendation from me. Now this is a 5-star new favourite picture book, and that is Best of All, The Magical Mix That's You by Smriti and Chaaya Prabhat. And this is a picture book about being mixed race and how you are the best mix of everything when you are a mixed race child. My nephew is mixed race and I just gave it to him immediately because I was like, oh, this is so good, and then I got myself a copy because I wanted one too. I love how it's talking about how beautiful you are, not only outwardly but also inwardly, and how you have parts of your grandmother's wisdom and parts of your father's joy and all of those elements to make the magical mix that is you. And whether you have a mixed race child or not, this can be a really lovely picture book to read, to show that everybody is beautiful in their own way and everybody brings different elements of who they are from their history into who they are today. And so I really like the message behind this one. This is a book that's told in rhyme, and I think it being told in rhyme was just done so very well. It was very smooth, made for brilliant out loud reading. The artwork is gorgeous and colourful. I just loved this picture book. It was stunning. So this is a 5 out of 5 recommendation from me. Then we have Changing Tides by Júlia Moscardó, and this was another one that was just an okay read to me. It's about these two families who come together and become one family as the parents get together, but of course for the children that's something that's a bit challenging because they've never had siblings before and now they are each other's sibling. And also half of the family is black and half of the family is white. They go to the seaside and they build a sandcastle. That is what this one is about, and I didn't particularly take away a strong message from reading this picture book. I felt like it was a nice depiction of the fact visually that there are mixed race families and families have different dynamics, but it didn't quite bring that to the light or forefront. Like, it wasn't about that, even though that was part of the story. And there's a nice moment with sharing in it, but I don't think the story was even about that either. So for me, storyline wise, this didn't quite do anything for me, and I just found the artwork okay, to be honest. I didn't love or dislike the artwork. So for me, this was just an okay picture book, and I wouldn't recommend it necessarily, but I wouldn't not recommend it. I was just like, this is fine. Timid by Harry Woodgate, and I love this picture book. I gave it 5 stars and it became a new favourite. So this picture book is about Timmy. Timmy is non-binary, and Timmy is a big performer. They love to perform and sing and dance in their room, but they get so shy and timid when there's anybody else around. And so when the school play is happening, they really want to perform, but they're just a bit too nervous and a bit too shy to do so. But Timmy ends up making a friend who will help them tame their lion, and their lion kind of embodies the fear that they have. And I loved this. I think, you know, it's about a non-binary child, but it's not about the fact that the child is non-binary. Again, I really am a big fan of this casual representation woven into books, and you can have a discussion with the child that you're reading to. If they're like, why are you not saying he or she, you can discuss and talk to them about it. I love a picture book that's a discussion point. It's also quite diverse in terms of the children that are depicted. So as you can see here, the friend that Timmy makes is this really cute black girl who looks really fashionable. I wish I was this cool. And the colours, again, the artwork, gorgeous, the gorgeous artwork, lovely colours and tones in this. And the story is just so lovely about overcoming your fears and how friendship and people around you can help support you in that overcoming of fears moment. The final page made me go like, oh my gosh, I feel emotional, because it was just such a lovely journey to be on in this picture book. And I think that's it. I think that's all I can say. This is also a non-binary author themselves writing this to its own voices representation. Same thing with the magical mix that makes you. I really enjoyed this picture book too. We're on such a good run. So we have Gina Kaminski Saves the Wolf by Craig Barr-Green and Francis Martin. This is actually one picture book in a series of Gina Kaminski picture books, and Gina is autistic, and I really liked the representation of autism in this one. So even from the end papers, you can kind of see all of these emotions and emojis. So Gina has her emotion chart, which she uses to kind of demonstrate how she's feeling, and she just talks about doing things in a slightly different way than the other children do. She's also got her teaching assistant support who's with her through her quiet time when the classroom becomes too loud and too noisy, and I just liked how that representation was so casually in there, but that is not what the story is about as well, which again I just really like, so that autistic children can see themselves in the picture books that they are reading, so that children who are reading this book who can say, why is, you know, Gina Kaminski pointing to these emojis to show how she's feeling, it can start that conversation between the person who's reading it to the child. And what this story is actually really about is Gina Kaminski reads the story of Little Red Riding Hood, and she decides that Little Red Riding Hood has made mistakes. And so she goes into the story and she corrects the mistakes that Little Red Riding Hood makes to make the ending what she thinks it should be. And I really had fun with that. I love a good fairy tale, and so this kind of feels like a fairy tale retelling in some ways, and I liked the changes that she made to the stories. It was funny, it was entertaining. While the artwork is not my tip-toppity favourite artwork ever, I think it suits the story and it does what the story needs it to do, and I was just such a big fan of the story that I was very happy reading this picture book, and I highly recommend it. We come to another picture book that I just thought was okay, and that is The Tree Next Door by Charlie Moyles and Martin Steinev. And this one is a like community-led book. It's about this young girl who helps this old woman with her tree throughout the spring and summer months, but when it comes to winter she doesn't see the old lady anymore, and she gets really worried about her, and so she decides to do a grand gesture to celebrate the tree even though it's winter, and she brings the whole community in on it. And it's a good message around like community and being part of something and organizing something to make a kindness for somebody else. I do think it has a good message, but just reading it myself I was like, this is okay. It's not my next favourite picture book ever, but I can see how it's a decent one to have out there for everyone, and the artwork is decent and nice enough as well. It's a good way to talk about like enjoying nature and how children can enjoy nature too. No harm in this book being out there in the world, it just isn't a big recommendation from me. We got this picture book here, it's called The Best You by Nima, Patel and Callie Johnson Isaacs. So the idea behind this one is to stop asking children what do you want to be when you're older, but instead prepare them for being the best them that they can possibly be. You're too young to be thinking about your career and thinking about your job and even trying to put that pressure on a child at all. Instead, just have them be the best person that they can be and let those decisions and choices come later. So you get to see these children kind of going through, what if I'm a firefighter, what if I'm this, what if I'm that, but actually what I am now, being the best me, is someone who can share, someone who can take rest, someone who can say kind words. And I do think that message is actually a really nice one at its core, and it's really lovely. As you can see from the cover itself, it has got a big nice diverse cast of children. There's not really a main character in this particular book. We've got a wheelchair user on the cover, we've got black people, we've got people with all different ethnicities, and so it's nice to kind of see that displayed throughout the book. It's got really big writing, there's a little bit of cursive in it which might be a bit tricky for some people to read, but I liked this. I would recommend it, it's a nice one. We're back to one of my 5-star recommendations that just made me so soft, and this is The Big Day by Rachel Plummer and Forrest Burdett. And this is about this child who is invited to a wedding for giants. And so he goes to this magical giant wedding, which is between these two male giants. So it's a celebration of queer love, and I loved it. My heart was just internally sobbing the whole way through, because it's such a lovely depiction of love in all its forms and ways, and how love is beautiful regardless of who you end up with. Love is something to be celebrated. And there's a lovely message at the end which is about whether or not you meet your person or whoever your person is, love is the most important thing, and that is just such a beautiful message. The artwork, you can even see it from the cover, is magical and whimsical and bright and beautiful, and you can see that there's a lift the flap situation throughout this book as well. I'm not going to lift all the flaps because then we'd be here all day, but it makes it very interactive and fun and playful. Some of the pages even open out like that, and this one is entirely in rhyme, and I felt like all of the rhyme worked really well with each other. The rhythm, the cadence was perfect, so I had no critiques whatsoever. I loved it. It also uses cutouts, so look, you can see the back there with them dancing is actually a cutout of the last page. So yeah, Lovely, lovely. Highly recommend this picture book. Please, please. We've got an okay picture book here, and that is I'm Going to Make a Friend by Darren, Chetty and Sandhya Prabhat. So this one was just okay to me, but I do think it's one with a really good message, and I think it's valuable for kids to have this. And it's about this young boy here who moves to a new area and he hasn't got any friends and nobody seems to be noticing him, so he decides he's going to build a little robot friend, and as he's doing so somebody else kind of gets involved, and it's about them forming a real friendship by him building a friend. And it's got a really nice message around sharing, around forgiving people when they do things that are wrong, and how mistakes can be made that are maybe nobody's fault, and also about forming friendships. So I think it's got a lot of valuable messages in there, so it is one I recommend to reading with kids, even though it wasn't like my ideal favorite one. I did like the colors, I think it was pretty decent artwork, and you've got quite a diverse range of people included, so I liked this. I thought it was pretty good. I Am Strong, Just Being Me by Laura Dockrill and Kip Alizadeh. And this one is about how you are strong being who you are. Being brave makes you strong. And it's a beautiful, beautiful message about what strength really means, how you can be strong while you're resting, how you can be strong while you're caring for yourself, how you can be strong while you're caring for others. And I just really liked the message behind it. It was really lovely. It's about a young girl and her connection to her grandma, who is gardening with her, so you get to see kind of the story in relation to the flowers blooming and growing something new, and how you can grow the strength within yourself. This one is entirely told in rhyme, and other than one moment where I think there was a little bit of a hiccup with the rhythm, I think the rhyme and rhythm in this was pretty perfect and I really enjoyed it. And while the artwork is not necessarily my favorite artwork ever, I think it does what it needs to for the story. It's very green, it feels very spring-like, and the message is just so invaluable that I do really recommend this picture book too. And that brings us on to our last picture book, which I'm going to have a little conversation about, but it's also a 5-star read for me because I did really enjoy it, and that is A Dress with Pockets by Lily Murray and Jenny Løvlie. And this is such a lovely, fun picture book. It's about a young girl who goes dress shopping with her mum, and she wants to find the dream dress, but all the dresses she is offered are not dream dresses because they don't have pockets for all the things that she wants to collect and all of her little knickknacks, and it's about how she solves that problem. I particularly like this picture book because it's all told in rhyme, and the rhyme and the rhythm is impeccable and very well done and reads very smoothly out loud, but also because you get a depiction of a young child saying what they want, and the adults have to listen, even though the adults came in with their own idea of what they thought she would want. And I love when you see picture books where the adults are listening to the child, so it shows that that relationship can go both ways, that you can communicate what you need and people will listen and give that response even if they are older than you. The artwork is really lovely and bright. It's a bit whitewashed because of the lighting in the camera, but it's really nice artwork as well, and the message just made me swell up with joy. And I loved that it was about a black family as well, and you got all of that black representation. However, let me have a little conversation with you. So I know quite a few picture book artists, and a big conversation that's happening in people of colour picture book communities is about how now that there's a call for diversity among picture books, there's a lot of instances where artists who are not people of colour have added to their portfolios and their repertoires, where they didn't previously have it, that they draw people of colour characters too. And so you can end up with picture books like this one in particular, where it's got a black family, and you might think that maybe the author or the illustrator is a person of colour, when in fact neither of them are. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad for white illustrators to draw people of colour, because it is good for them to recognise that diverse people are wanted in picture books and that they can draw them, they can do. But in the case of the picture book community at the moment, there are people of colour artists who are seeing that they are finding it harder to get work because the picture book artists who are very well known, who are white and draw people of colour characters, are getting those roles and those jobs when they are struggling, even though they are the authentic, representation for those visual depictions. And so it just makes me think, when I'm getting picture books, or when I'm thinking about picture books, just to be a bit more mindful about who the author and who the illustrators are, and whether or not they are reflected in the book themselves as well. And this is why I kind of like the picture book recommendations that I've done, because other than that one, it's all, you know, written by people who have those experiences or are on voices for the representation. But there are also a lot of picture books in this collection of picture books I've shown you that I really enjoyed, that are not by diverse picture book authors or artists, but are still very good, and so you can have it all. But I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you'd like to see more of my picture book reviews. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Do you read picture books? Do you buy picture books for a friend or family member or for a child in your life? And if you read picture books, do you have a recommendation for me? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!